Hello, everybody. My name is Audrey, and welcome to episode 2 of Come to Work with Me. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I stand today, the Taungurung people, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And I'd like to pay my respects to all of those of you joining from school or home or anywhere you are at today and the land that you're meeting on. And I'd like to acknowledge any Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander friends that are joining us today. My name is Audrey, and we are joined by the very, very clever Callie. How are you going, Callie?
Yeah, good. Good to be here.
I'm glad. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm a 24-year-old apprentice electrician at Foodmac, doing all food machinery, basically. Even last year with COVID, we dabbled into medical mask machines as well. Third year, only got a year to go, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Now, we're going to ask you a few more questions today. We're going to get to know you, and I also want everyone who's playing along at home to put in the chat where they're playing from. If you're at school or if you're at home, let us know where you're at. And if you have any questions for Callie, put it in the Q&A and we'll ask them. Now, Callie, tell us a bit about your story. Did you start off wanting to always be an electrician at school? Did you dabble in a bit of other things and then end up going down that path? Tell us a bit about how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so actually during school, I pretty much had no idea what I wanted to do. And so I finished school, knew I didn't want to go to uni, and I ended up getting a traineeship in business administration at our local hospital. So that was just for a year. Wasn't for me. I can't stay in an office all day. Had to be out there doing something else. So then I went on to try sales at Telstra. That wasn't for me either. Customer side of it was really good. I really like enjoying talking to people and everything like that. But the sales side of it is obviously a certain skill that I didn't exactly enjoy. After that, I didn't enjoy that. That was about 18 months. I then went and did a bit of harvest work and then went travelling because I just still had no idea where I wanted to go, and got back from travelling and had my sights set on becoming a sparky. So it took me about 6 months of long days searching for work before I got my foot in the door here at Foodmac.
Yeah, fantastic. And did you think that, well, when you look back on it now, did you think that being the only girl, say, in your trade or the only girl at trade school in your class would have affected you getting a job outside of, your TAFE course?
No, I don't think so. No, I felt like for me it was as long as I had the right attitude and played my role and everything like that, then there was no reason being a female was going to stop me getting the job over anyone else.
I love to hear that. That's fantastic. And if you could look back and change anything that you happen to have done to where you are today, would you change anything or would you do it
No,
the exact same way?
no, absolutely not. I feel like every job and every role, every hurdle kind of that I've been through helps me in my job now every day. Like I'm using my business admin skills all the time, even just being a Sparky, and like they're two completely different roles. Even sales, working with customers, well, maybe not so much at the moment am I face to face with the customers, but it's just learning to communicate and everything with the rest of the team. Like to us, say we still do have customers. So our customers at work from being a Sparky is software, because once we finish our work, we pass it on to them and then they become our customers, and we are mechanicals customers because once they're done, they pass it to us Sparkies. So just everything rolls into one and wouldn't change anything at all.
Yeah, fantastic. And you just mentioned that you've faced a few challenges along the way. Other than not knowing what you wanted to do when you finished school and when you were in school, what are some of the challenges you have faced?
I just find actually probably the biggest challenge is breaking into that workforce that you want to get to. So whether it be say Sparky, for example, not having any of that prior experience. So I hadn't been on the tools before. I knew that I was really passionate about getting into there. But it's pretty much just sticking with it, like being determined to get there and keep going, because yeah, that's probably like the hardest part, is getting that foot in the door and chasing up for those jobs, because these in this day and age, like you can put in for jobs and you won't hear anything back like at all. It's just, you might not hear anything, you might get an interview, you might not, and then you just won't hear anything. So it's just, I reckon, keeping on going, keep putting your name out there, trying getting that work experience. I reckon is probably the biggest challenge, more of a challenge than, I guess, being a female in a male dominated field.
Absolutely. And do you think that there could have been some valuable advice or something valuable that you could have known before you entered into the field that you're in now or entered into your TAFE course at all?
Um, my biggest piece of advice is definitely the work experience. Like, you get told it in high school, and you're like, yeah, work experience. You go and do your week here and there, but I wish, yeah, someone had sat down with me and really drum it into you how important it is, because I got my job through work experience. I started as just a 2 weeks, come in, get a bit of work experience, see if this is really where you want to go. Um, and yeah, that's turned into the best decision I could make. I got my job out of it. They just kept me on after the 2 weeks was over. So yeah, that's definitely where I would lean
Put the most
towards.
advice?
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I definitely have to agree with that. I was the exact same. I started as a volunteer intern at Channel 31 TV studios, and because I was a volunteer with work experience, I got a job out of it. It's more
Yeah,
about the
100%.
experience than the diploma or the tertiary education certificates, whatever you're studying in.
Yeah.
Did you work while you were studying, while you were doing your TAFE course? Did you work full time as well?
So my TAFE course is built in with work.
With your apprenticeship, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we go week blocks every 5 or 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's amazing to think you're getting paid and getting a certificate out of the end of it as well. We kind of like that step ahead, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And has it been sort of a juggling act that you've had to juggle work and study all at once, or has it been pretty easy just to flow with?
It hasn't been too bad up until COVID, because you do your weeks at trade school and you're away from the work environment, so you're not too. I get like massive FOMO at work.
Mhm.
It's like so strange. Like, we'll have a job going on, and then I've got to go and do trade school for a week, and I'm like, oh, but I'd rather stay here and like finish off the job that I've just half started. And but with COVID, you're doing trade school from work, or you're doing trade school from home. Um, over the internet and over Zoom and everything, which I found was really hard, because I'd be sitting upstairs in the office and I'd be like, I'm really sick of staring at this computer. I'd really like to go downstairs. And then I'd find myself going downstairs and I'm like, I'll just go and do this for like half an hour, get myself away from the computer. And you're downstairs, and then all of a sudden I'm half a day behind and I've got to catch up. And that's probably the hardest part. But that's just a personal thing, me and my FOMO getting the best of me.
And absolutely, I think that also goes in hand with being a hands-on learner instead of more of a sit down, stare at the computer all day.
100%.
You've got that similarity with me. Now, I'm just going to double check if we've had any questions through. Remember, guys, if you do have any questions, throw them in the Q&A and we'll ask Hallie. Now, what does a day in your life look like when it comes to work and study and everything else?
It varies so much, which I absolutely love. Like, every day, I've got a rough idea what I'm doing tomorrow at work, but yeah, everything really varies. We will always start off with a morning toolbox meeting. Sean will
Mhm.
give everyone their jobs for the day as such. As I'm progressing through my apprenticeship, they kind of give me a lot more responsibility now too. So they'll be like, okay, Cal, you're going to work on Coca-Cola down the back. I'll go check out all your layouts, you'll check out your schematics, so your drawings of what needs to go into the machine. Basically, rather from a day perspective, from a job perspective, which might go over, say, the course of a week or 2 weeks, that's usually how it'll lay out. So you'll get your drawings, you go and mark everything out, you'll start wiring it, running in all your cables to the end of hooking it up, and then you work inside with software as well to make sure everything's lined up for where they need it to be, causes no mechanical damage when we start up all the motors and everything. From testing to then doing things like even like making labels and sticking labels on wraparounds, all those tedious little tasks at the end of it. But we do a fair bit of training ourselves too. FoodMac itself's going through a Certificate 3 in process manufacturing. We do that training once or twice a week, and then work on our projects for the next week as well. So a bit of team training, learning involved there as well, which is great.
No, it sounds like you have a great variety every day of the week. Something's different, and I think I read somewhere that your job takes you all over the world.
Yep, all over the world when COVID's not happening.
COVID's not happening, of course. Very good to travel.
Yeah, we'll be doing jobs for, say, we've had jobs going to China. I was fortunate enough to head over to Fiji just before COVID hit. That got cut short when we had to go fly home. But your Fiji waters, New Zealand, will be working for your Forex and your breweries over there as well. So it's lots of opportunities in different places to go. Even amongst in Australia, we've got offices in Brisbane and Sydney as well. So you can be anywhere from Perth to the middle of Australia in the Barossa Valley over in Adelaide. Yeah, it's great.
How fantastic. And I think that's such a great opportunity for yourself to see the world, see Australia, when you started out not knowing what you wanted to do, and now literally you can see the whole world and experience everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's wonderful. So your apprenticeship is 4 years?
Yes.
And is that for your specific trade, or is that an electrician in general?
Electrician in general, yep. So all electricians, you've got your 4 years, minimum of 3 years and 6 months if you can get signed off early for whatever reason it may be. But 4 years. So, and that's the interesting thing as well, is at the end of the day, I haven't wired any houses or done any of like your domestic sparky work. But at the end of the day, it's still the same trade. So, crazy.
It is. I'm glad that, we've got so many people joining in from schools and everything today to hear your story, because you don't have to be, in year 11 and 12 knowing what you're going to do the next year. You don't have to, know any of this stuff. You can just wait a couple more months, wait a couple more years, and then end up in your field.
Yeah, and exactly right. And then I don't think it's it doesn't even just finish there either. So like I've got another year in my apprenticeship to go, and each week I've got new and exciting ideas of where in the business I'd love to go, even just within FoodMac. I'm like, do I want to be software? Do I want to head into the management side of things and take you on different pathways that you never even knew? Like I would be very surprised if I just stay in the same Sparky role for the next 30 years. So it's I don't think you ever fully know really what you want to do. It's always changing to the environments that are around us as well.
No, fantastic. Constantly learning and evolving. I love it. Now, thank you, Kelly, for joining us today and taking time out of your work day.
No dramas at all. It's good to be here.
I thank all the schools and everyone for joining in. And remember, you guys can check this out on Facebook and on the website after we finish up today. And again, next Wednesday for episode 3.